Greetings from Dr. Serena Margaret. We are going to see Langston Hughes' poetry, how it is spontaneous as well as directed. Langston Hughes wanted to capture the traditions of black culture in written form. His period is from 1902 to 1967. He was the most popular and versatile writer of the Harlem Renaissance. Hughes openly chose to write poems about African American people. The themes in his poems express the joy, struggle, pain, and frustration of African American life. Hughes was born on February 1 in 1902 in Joplin, Missouri, to Carolina Mercer Langston. His mother was always sympathetic to his writing. His father was a businessman. Hughes first published his poems in anthologies. He was considered to be the class poet in his school. He was raised by his grandmother in a family which had a long abolitionist tradition. When we look at Hughes's career, his early works were poetry and essays. He left Columbia University and traveled the world in the early 1920s. He returned to college and accepted help from a patron. He visited the South. He was drawn to American Communist Party in the early 1930s and he visited the Soviet Union and he reported in Spanish Civil War. He created prose monologues on race. He published the first book of Negroes in 1952, the first book of jazz in 1955, and was on FBI security list until 1959. He traveled internationally in 1960s, and the picture that you see on the right side is the stamp issued in his centennial year in 2002. Hughes was the Negro Poet Laureate. He never ceased needling the nation to live up to its democratic promises. He has catalogued the wrongs against the black man in his poetry, and he has also celebrated the strength of the black man. We find two positive compulsions in Hughes's poetry, which are the impulse toward the oral tradition and poems as the literature of social struggle. He talked very seriously about the need for justice and equality for the struggling black masses. Hughes is the interpreter of the soul of the Negro race, and he tells the stories of his peoples in ways that reflect their culture, love of music, laughter, and language. To him, black music is black history. According to him, black music is sacred, primal, which is acquired from the beat of the heart, that what he calls as syncopate, and it is the pulse of their life. Hughes incorporates the idiom and nuances of traditional black culture into a modern artistic vernacular. He adopts the technical resource of the culture, black idiom and dialect, black folk humor, including the tragicomic irony of the blues, the form and spirit of jazz. The blues, a philosophy of endurance, pain, swallowed in smile. When you find a singer singing the blues poetry, you find he is talking about something very disturbing, painful, but when he finishes the song, you feel like laughing. The jazz is a world of revolt against weariness in a white world. Through his poetry, he kept alive the emergence of a group consciousness among the black community. He is the soul poet of the soul. His intention is to find a black identity within the American cultural context. His aim was to produce art with racial individuality. In Hughes, black folk culture is the weapon. Black social and economic sufficiency the price fought for. Hughes was the spokesman of the Negro masses. He seeks to change the way people look not only at art and African Americans, but also at the world. This is Hughes's unique contribution to American poetry. Hughes establishes a valued identity to both the folk and literary traditions. Thank you.